Hey, Love All Good podcast listeners. This is the latest episode of Cruzin With The Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. Due to recent events that have gone on in the United States, a certain ruling by the Supreme Court, Julie and I talk about the issue of control. Coming up next. Hey folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of Live All Good Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network, talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com.
Our priority at Blue Monarch Communications is building your confidence as an effective presenter. Whether you're preparing for a formal presentation, a keynote address, an interview, or presenting an idea or concept to your team or your clients, we are here to ensure that you are poised to effectively communicate your content while engaging and connecting with your audience. Let our team help you shine.
Hey folks, welcome back from that short break. We are here another Wednesday with Cruzin With The Coaches with your favorite hosts, Lee and Julie. Of course, you know that I'm not Julie, so stop asking, stop sending the hate mail, stop sending, kidding. Julie, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm doing good. So it is the end of the month, man.
It is, yeah.
Like we're in the middle of the summer. Things are hot.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of hot, that is, you like how I did that,
Yeah.
Speaking of hot, there has been some things that have gone on in the United States. So about a week ago or so, the Supreme Court made a ruling, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to address that on the show. I think we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
All right. So I would say that, all right, let's just put out the Supreme Court ruled and overturned the Roe versus Wade decision. Okay.
Correct.
Which means, so we'll help spell that out for people. If you're unaware,
I was gonna say, if you've been living under a rock,
yeah, don't really want you to be unaware of that kind of thing. But if by chance you are unaware of what that decision was, first of all, right, almost 50 years ago,
mm-hmm.
It basically was the federal protection for women to have abortion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And on a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court overturned that ruling. So now that means it is no longer a federal mandate or a federal protection for women to have abortions, which now means the law changes state by state,
Mm-hmm.
or even at a lower level by counties, by municipalities, whatever. It's pretty much your locale or local government, I'm saying locales where you are, but your local government will determine whether that is legal or not. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about here. That's what this ruling is about. So, before I ask you your take, because I believe your insight here is going to be well worth it, seeing as you're a woman.
Uh-huh.
And I will give insight too, right? Let's be clear. I think we both feel very similar, if not the same, about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to read something. So obviously, there's many articles, and everybody's on both sides of this argument, if you will, putting information out there. So when this ruling came down from the Supreme Court, this is from an AP article, and I'll put the link in the show notes, you guys, so you can read it for yourselves. But this is the scary part for me. Before we even talk about what overturning that means for women, the scary part is, and this is the third paragraph in this article. Okay, so that means it's like, pretty high up there. Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas, was one of the majority who was in favor of this ruling, overturning Roe versus Wade. So Justice Thomas, and I quote, also urged colleagues, urged colleagues to overturn other high court rulings protecting same-sex marriage, gay sex, and the use of contraceptives. That's the door that we've opened.
Mm-hmm.
That's the door. Because if you, and by urging high courts, what he is doing is the courts that are below the Supreme Court, urging them to overturn these things, right? So if those things are open for reevaluation and overturning, how far back do we go to overturn things? How far back can we go to overturn things? Yeah, that's the scary part to me, amongst many other scary things. Okay,
Right.
So I will let you have the floor. What are your initial thoughts on this overturning of Roe versus Wade?
So I will have to say it was kind of one of those situations as a woman that or just even as a citizen of the United States, when 9/11 happened, you'll always remember where you were when that happened. Okay. So in that moment, I will always remember where I was at when this happened. And so it was just one of those things where it's just like, I couldn't believe that it had happened. You talk about it, and it's one of those things where, just even you sharing the article, knowing that was the whole purpose of it. The whole purpose was because this was the initial domino. Because if this could be overturned, what else do you think can be? What else will be? And so it's just understanding that this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning in a situation where I don't even know that everybody understands that we are in a place where there are almost just as many females in the population as there are males. And so this is just simply a way to oppress us, period. And so if you are not paying attention and you do not understand that, it is time to open your eyes. It is time to figure out, first of all, and understanding that it's not really just, it's, as a woman, yes, I get it. You need to stand for this and you need to stand for that. But there are also things that it's just kind of like understanding that someone is trying to hold power over you, period. Because obviously I know there are women out there who are, and again, I know you and I just talked about it. This isn't about pro-abortion. Okay. It's about choice.
Correct.
And so I know there are females out there who feel very strongly about the whole idea of, it meaning more pro-abortion. And that's not really, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about decisions being made for people, and it's just not right, period. It's just not right.
No, and I thank you for pointing that out, right? Like let's be clear. There's always been, ever since the initial ruling, right, of Roe versus Wade almost 50 years ago, it came down to, a limited argument of, oh, well, you're either for abortion or against abortion.
Exactly.
And that's you hit the nail on the head. That's not what we're talking about here.
No.
There, people have tried to boil it down to, well, pro-life or you're against life, right?
Right.
And there's another article that I will share that they talk about, all of these statistics and all of the things that consider a fetus a life, right? At how many weeks in when its movement is, all this stuff, right? I'm not here to argue any of those things. That is not the position that I hold as a man, and I'm, and maybe we don't hold that position here on the show, right?
Right.
But the position that we hold, and I'm speaking to and about those people who use religion as another form of control. Okay.
Right.
And we were talking about this pre-show. If you are a Christian and you're using this pro-life argument that abortion is wrong, well, one of the fundamental things about Christianity is that God gave us free will. And let me interpret that as choice.
Correct.
Okay. Free will and choice. Dominion over the earth. Okay. So with that free will, we are allowed to choose what we do with it. Whether it's ideal or whether it's detrimental, it is a choice.
Correct.
Okay. And at the end of our days, when it is our time, when and let me interpret that is when it's our judgment day in front of God, that is when we will be judged on the choices that we made.
Correct.
That is a fundamental thing of Christianity. I know, and I know there's there's other fundamentals, right? But the fact that it gets taken a little bit out of context.
Correct. Well, so long as it serves their purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to be very clear about that, right?
Yeah.
That's why we are speaking from a point of pro-choice. And I'm not even going to call it pro-choice. It's just about choice.
Right.
And who controls that choice? Go ahead.
I'm still wrapped up in the whole, how are you going to force a woman to do so? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, are we going to be strapping people to beds? Are there going to be dorms where these women are expected to stay from beginning day until they give birth? And if the child is still unwanted, what happens to these children who people are not wanting to take home? You know? Or, I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to the babies who are going to be dropped off at congressmen's houses.
well,
here's your baby.
You know what? In a twist of cruel fate, it might actually be that congressman's baby.
It's like,
there could be that.
Yeah, there could be that. I'm in awe over how they plan to make this work. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, you know what's even worse, right? So I want our listeners to understand too that this didn't just happen at the end of June, right? This wasn't.
Oh no, this has been
Justice Alito set the table for this when they talked about Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992, right? Yep. This is also in this AP article. but it reaffirmed. Let me read it here. Alito, in the final opinion issued on the Friday that this came down, wrote that Roe and Planned Parenthood versus Casey, the 1992 decision that reaffirmed the right to abortion, was wrong and had to be overturned. So Justice Alito had set the table well before this whole ruling came. All right. I want to add something here else from the AP article that let's see. There were already 8 states. No, I'm sorry. 8 other states. So there were 10 states.
I'm gonna say 10. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and West Virginia that were already having their own struggles with abortion or not, right?
Correct.
Whether it was legal and supported.
Yes.
So they stopped performing abortions literally the moment this ruling came down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the state of Ohio, where both of us are from and one of us resides. Won't say which one, but one of us resides there. So Ohio has a ban on most abortions at the first detectable heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Utah is now going through their rulings. So, like, this did not just happen overnight.
No.
Guys. But yeah. So where is the line drawn? How far can we go back? Right. Let me rewind the clock here. Let me go back in the Wayback Machine for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2014 and 2015, I heard a lot of, "Oh man, that's impossible. That dude's not going to win.
That can't happen."
And still we went through a whole term with number 40, the 45th president. I don't even want to say his name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is why I'm gonna get on a soapbox for a little bit. Okay. So bear with me, folks. I'm gonna get on a soapbox just for a little bit. But this is why it is important for you to not just be engaged in what happens locally or at the state level or federally, but this is what voting legitimately is about, right? Mm-hmm. Because by voting and exercising that civic duty, this is what gets these people in these positions to make these decisions.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. So that whole presidency of the 45th president, all the craziness that happened. See, I'm here in Washington, D.C., so that might have gave you who lives in Ohio. But frequently the circus, right, was really smoke and mirrors, because there was always some legislation that was pushed underneath that circus that didn't make the news. It was the circus that was covered.
It was the game. It was the game of distraction. That's what it was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of these circuit court judges and, all of these courts that are underneath the Supreme Court kept getting all these conservative. They were putting people in place. It was being done right in front of our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'll get off the soapbox now, but that is why it's important to be aware and understand what's going on with that. Whew, okay. So again, my question that I was going with was, like, where do we stop? In your opinion, what now can be overturned? If this was the first domino, like you stated, right? Yeah. You heard me say what Justice Thomas was urging colleagues to do. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, what might be next?
I don't know. What if his interracial relationship was attacked?
Hmm. Hmm. And folks, he's speaking about Justice Thomas. If you
Yes,
didn't know.
yes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just reminded of, like, back in college, I reading Freakonomics. Do you remember Freakonomics?
Yes.
Okay. And they talked about what, the changes that Roe versus Wade created, later years down the pipe. And so I'm just thinking, like, as far as what I had said earlier when we were offline, we're talking about mental health. It's always been the forefront, not always, but it's been the forefront for the last, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years.
Sure.
And, I mean, so now we're asking women to carry children that they don't want, knowingly that they don't want. So, I mean, I'm not in fear of what mental health is going to be in the next 2-3 years or however long.
Right.
Let's talk about the people who are facing the issues as far as are in the line of work of social work and deal with children and these children who are raised in the system, because that's the other thing. They're not answering as to what happens to these children who are being forced to be born.
Exactly.
So, like, they can't stop you from putting your child up for adoption. Fine, you want to force me to have it. I'm not going to keep it.
No, so they might. I don't know. They might try that next. No,
it might be the next.
You can't put it up. You have to keep it.
I know. I got to keep an open mind. Anything's possible. But I mean, at this point, it's just like, you think about those workers, those people who deal with people who actually wanted their children and who are actually in all these different horrific situations, be it food, be it housing, be it, it just, and I don't know. I just, it's so scary as to where this is going to take us.
To your point, I have a friend, I'm in several different groups, right? Trying to develop different things, social impact projects. So I have a friend who talks about the kids who have aged out of the system, right? And she said this, and it never occurred to me until she was talking about it, but said, yeah, I couldn't very well just let these, young adults be homeless.
Right.
She currently has 8 people in her house who are unrelated to her, who aged out of the system because they have nowhere else to go. They had no guidance because no one got them out of the system, right? So if we're talking one person who has now housed 8 young adults, what about your point you just said?
Yeah.
How many countless others are going to go through what God knows what situation?
Correct.
Yeah. Yet the conservative political ideology talks about, well, we shouldn't be giving handouts, and I'm using air quotes here, handouts to these people. Well, you're kind of putting them in the system.
Correct. It's creating the whole, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
Oh, is there a soapbox for you to step on? Please step up.
It's just, I just don't get it. It's just it's so hard. It's so hard to understand where people's heads are.
Well, okay. In that sense, folks, we'll take a quick break, and because that's a lot to digest, right? I know if you were not aware, now you are, and hopefully you're listening to what we're saying. And we're going to give you some, obviously, I'll put the links in the show notes. You can read for yourself and do searches. But let's take a quick break because I have some other things to share. You spoke to where people's heads are at, right? Well, I'll let you know. All right. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Our priority at Blue Monarch Communications is building your confidence as an effective presenter. Whether you're preparing for a formal presentation, a keynote address, an interview, or presenting an idea or concept to your team or your clients, we are here to ensure that you are poised to effectively communicate your content while engaging and connecting with your audience. Let our team help you shine.
Hey folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of Live All Good Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network, talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com. All right, folks, welcome back from the break. This is Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. If you weren't listening in the first segment, we were talking about the overturning of Roe versus Wade and all the implications that come along with that, right? So, Julie, you posed a question before we went to break, and you did not take my invitation to step up on the soapbox.
I didn't.
It's cool. It's fine. But, a very understandable concern, and I use that loosely, is where are these people's heads at, right? Mm-hmm. Where are they at?
Right.
Okay. So, since we are, a few weeks removed from that overturning, from that ruling from the court, still stuff, articles, everybody has something to say. So let me read to you. This is an article from Axios, okay? Representative Mary Miller is Republican. She represents the state of Illinois, all right? She was speaking, I believe, I don't even want to say this either, because I saw it at work and I didn't want to believe it. But the former President Trump is still holding rallies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is.
He's still holding rallies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why can't he just go away? But, all right, I'm going to have a really bad, unpopular opinion right now. And this is going to go out on the show, but I'm going to own it. Okay?
Okay.
COVID has done a lot of things in the last 2-3 years, right? There are lives that have been lost that, should not have been lost. It's mental health has things have gone a certain way. There have been some silver linings in the black cloud of COVID as well, right?
Correct.
Well, COVID didn't quite do its job.
Oh no, stop.
Come on, man. You're taking all these people out. You missed one. Okay. Come on, Rona, you missed one. Yes, I said it. I know that is an evil thing to say. I'm owning it, but I'll move on. So, Representative Miller, at one of these rallies, I believe, said, and I quote, "The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade is a historic victory for white life." Yeah, she said that. Yeah, she said that. For those in the back who didn't hear it, I'll repeat it. We're talking about Representative Mary Miller. She is a white woman. She is a Republican. She represents the state of Illinois. At a rally for former President Trump, she called the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade a historic victory for white life. Do you want to hear the whole quote? The whole quote says, President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court yesterday. So this was a rally that was the day after the ruling,
Okay.
and that's her whole quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So clearly, publicists, her publicists and spokesman, tried to, walk that one back.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that she misread her remarks and intended to say, called it a victory for a right to life.
Right to life compared to white life?
Correct.
Okay. I can see two words being one word. Okay. There. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you asked where are people's heads at?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty clear to me where people's heads are at.
Right.
I asked, where do we go, right? How far does this go? How deep does the rabbit hole go?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's put out there that we are not that far removed. We're one generation removed from the Civil Rights Act. Okay?
Correct.
What I know my folks aren't alive, but not the point. My folks lived
Through
in the time
mm-hmm.
when there was no Civil Rights Act.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that was 1965. Did I get that wrong?
I
65.
believe so. 65.
Which means, and yeah, I'm dating both of us. I'm dragging you with me. But that's only 10 years before we were born. We are
it's 64 though, by the way.
64?
Yeah.
I got it.
You're close. You're close enough.
Okay. But that is one generation removed from everything that the Civil Rights Act had. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And yet in 2022, we have a representative for the state of Illinois saying that the overturning of Roe versus Wade was a historic victory for white life. I'll let y'all do the math on that one.
Right.
I'll let y'all come to your own conclusions about where people's heads are. Yeah, that people are saying those things. So we already understand, right, the disproportionate issues that women of color have with either having babies or getting the proper medical care, right?
Correct.
Whether it's related to babies or not, right? We already understand the disproportionate medical care that women of color receive.
Mm-hmm.
Does it get better or worse from here? That's a rhetorical question too, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not inviting you to the soapbox.
Yeah, and I'm definitely. I'm not jumping on. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
This is something really serious, man. And just to double down and back up where people's heads are, right? To help answer your question. So, Representative Miller has had comments in the past. Referencing Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Referencing Adolf Hitler.
And
that quote. Oh, go ahead.
But I think the problem, we all need to wrap our heads around this because these are closeted thoughts that are now out in the open. Okay. Yes. These are not new thoughts. These are not new ideas. These are things that people were already talking about behind closed doors that now they feel that they are in a time and place where it is okay to say these things out loud because guess what? They've got all the support that they need to move their agenda forward.
Ooh. Yep. Absolutely.
And so just as you were talking about civil rights, it's just like it's one generation. Okay.
Only
And
one.
look, right.
Yeah.
And look where we're starting now with the domino effect. We're going straight to the women, right? So who is next?
Yeah.
We have to really think about that. We're starting with the women. So now it's just going to, I just got goosebumps even thinking about it because it just
right?
angers me. It just hence why I'm being a little bit quiet because yeah.
Don't worry. I'll try to speak for your quietness.
Yeah.
I get it. That because it's one of those things, and I'll tell you, like when on that day of the ruling, my wife came downstairs and was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving the house right now because I'm hot." And I was like, "Yeah, I get." Now the like 2-second conversation we had about it before she had to leave the door, walk out the door. I said to her, I was like, I wish I could blame this on white people, but I can't because as y'all heard me read the quote from Justice Thomas, he ain't white. And there's plenty of other conservative politicians who ain't white, who have been part of this movement, So, yeah, man. I want to point something else out here too, right? Is this great nation of democracy. So if y'all think that this is just has implications for us in the United States, there are global implications of with this. Regardless of what you think about the United States position globally, whether it's economic, politically, whatever, we have now become we're the fourth nation, okay? But we've joined 3 other nations that have begun to roll back abortion policies since 1994. One of 4. We are now the 4th. That's it. That's insane.
It is.
We are one of 4. But it now, like, again, a lot of times globally, regardless of what you think, the United States is still looked at as, it's hard to say it, right? And take it seriously, as a standard.
Right. But are we even there anymore?
It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that we're trying to restore.
I feel like we have a lot of restoration to do because I don't think we're still seen or viewed as being, I don't want to say superior, but
I only said standard. I didn't say good or bad.
Yeah.
Or a positive or negative standard. But we are seen as a standard of something, So now, right, take that global implication. If this large nation that is known for democracy, and I'm using air quotes with that, if this large nation is known for democracy and they have chosen to, pull back on their abortion rulings and laws, wow, what does that say?
Right.
So yeah, it is not just local. There are global implications, man.
Of course.
Big time.
Well, I will say I was one of the people who I was happy to read Dick's letter, the Dick's department stores. They were talking about that they would be willing to send people. Was that the one that used the camping trip?
I think so.
The women who need to go on camping trips.
I read that. Yes.
Yeah. And then now there have got to be at least another 30 companies who are riding alongside them. And so
I will try to find that article too, because I read that.
Yeah. And then immediately it was, oh, you shouldn't embrace these quote unquote benefits because it's because they don't want to pay for your medical and they don't want to pay for this. And this is why they're willing to pay for that. And it's like, again, do you understand that if you are a person who is not being supported by the baby daddy, okay, because let's face it, that's a toss
Be
up, that's
real.
a 50-50 chance,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so if the whole idea, well, you shouldn't be having sex until you get married, and then then you wouldn't have all these problems, and it's just like, come on, people, like, are you kidding? What reality do you live in?
Well, also remember they're trying to control contraceptives. Remember that?
Correct. So then now what? So then now,
Yeah.
because I'm married, I have to keep having babies because,
Mhm.
you know, just okay.
I won't even jump in here with what I've read about the support from the Vatican and the
Oh yeah,
Catholic Church.
yeah.
I
We
won't
won't.
jump in here
Yeah,
with that.
we won't go there.
That'll be for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, I will say this too. There obviously have been some states, or at least DC has been really loud about being a sanctuary
Mm-hmm.
for women looking for abortion. So
Mm-hmm.
this is an ongoing conversation, folks. It's not going anywhere. But so I will leave the floor with you for any final thoughts on our conversation today. Julie.
Well, all I'm going to say is, the whole thing is, we were just talking about free will,
Mhm.
and also understanding, it's, the right to end a life, the right of pro-choice. The fact of the matter is, if you make a mistake, you have a medical reason, or there are other reasons for you to make this choice, that is a choice
Mhm.
for you and only you, then the fact of the matter is your life can end because you have to now take on the life of someone else if you're going to be forced to have this child. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying, I think we're going to find ourselves in a place where we're going to have lots of babies just being dropped off at doorsteps, and, single fathers. Maybe it's the single father's turn, because then
Mm.
don't even get me started on the whole feeling the need for mandatory vasectomies, because my whole stance on that is, I think if this is where we're leading, this is where we're
Mhm.
going,
Yep.
then they should come to a place where young men can have a vasectomy reversed when they can prove they can take on the financial responsibility of taking care of a woman and her child. Okay?
Yes. You know what?
So, and
I
I'm
love
saying that's a
it.
little bit cheaper than birth control.
And I got you onto the soapbox. Yes.
I tried to
Yes.
resist.
Yes. But you know what? And that's a great point, right?
Yeah.
Why if we're control if we're controlling
Mm-hmm.
this choice for women,
Mm-hmm.
why can't we control that choice for men?
Correct.
I'm 100% with that
Yeah.
legislation
Yeah. You
for
can
sure.
prove, if you can prove you can get a job, you can prove you have financial stability, you can prove that you could take care of someone else, then by all
Mhm.
means, here is your approval to have your vasectomy reversed.
Reversed. I'm with that is yeah. You know what? Let's start a campaign, right? I'm with that because
Yeah.
like as a coach, who is my target audience? I am trying to coach young men
Mm-hmm.
so that they can be better men, because then better men will understand that it's not about the woman taking care of the child, it's about us taking care of the child.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean that's just
Correct.
one aspect, but I am with that 100%, y'all. So you heard it
Yeah.
here first. We are starting the campaign.
Mandatory vasectomies
Jeez.
can get reversed.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I'm with that. Well,
Yeah.
and I want to leave everybody with this final thought too. If you think that we, for any instance, have simply just been talking about the abortion uh, overturning, no. The bottom line, the true bottom line, is it's about control,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about systemic control. or as if you don't get that interpretation, it's about the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
The establishment is feeling threatened, and it is trying to regain control.
Correct.
So the establishment can't whip people anymore. They can't sell people anymore. But instead, they're going to try to control people through legislation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you interpret that the way you want, but that is what we're talking about. So, all right, folks. Well, a little bit heavy, but it has been the latest episode of Cruzin With The Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. We truly hope that we have given you something to think about, something that you want to research and be engaged with. And we are here every other Wednesday. So sometimes we got to bring those hard topics to you folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can find us on Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, a few other platforms. And we have some news coming up when we start our shows in July, but we won't drop that just yet. So we have appreciated your time. We are signing off. We will see you in a couple weeks.